Hello YouTube. Welcome to the next video in my efficient prepping series. I think I'm going to call this one patrolling preps. It might be patrol preps, but we're going to talk about patrolling today and the 80-20 of it that you need to know as a prepper or survivalist as part of a group. This is a super big topic, man. Like, I could literally have like 40 extras running around whacking each other with simunitions to show you guys how to get this done. But the channel's not there yet. If you'd like to see us get there, go check out my Patreon link in the description. Come support the channel. Help us get there. Because I could literally do like a 20-part series on just patrolling. Easily. In this video, though, what we're going to try and do is just focus on the big details. So what is patrolling? Let's talk about that first. Patrolling is your group coming up with a plan, and we're going to call it home base, where all y'all are at. And I've already gone over like some other details regarding perimeters and stuff like that in some other videos in the series. And so what your group's going to do is it's going to come up with a mission. There's a need to conduct a certain type of mission, and I'm going to go over those a little later, okay? Your team needs to get this done. Your leaders are going to discuss what needs to happen. They're going to make a decision, because you always make decisions, pimps. You never just sit around and be like, I don't know what to do. Do something always. You guys are going to make a decision and come up with a plan. You're going to assemble a team of people that are going to conduct this mission. Always 2 people or more. 2 or more. Best case scenario, in the end of the world as we know it, you probably want 4-person teams. It's going to give you more options, right? Let's say you send a 2-person team and someone breaks their ankle 15 miles out. Well, the other person's not carrying them back. They're going to have to walk back on their own, get more people, go back out there, get that person and bring them back. Yes, I know there's some freaking He-Man dudes out there that are just going to throw that dude on his back and walk him all the way back in 15 miles like it's no sweat. But that's not going to be the situation for most of us, all right? If you were in a 4-man group, well, you could stop, possibly make a litter, put them on a litter, and get them back to camp. Okay? Same thing if you run into an enemy force. It's going to be easier to break contact with 4 people. You have more firepower. So you're going to have 2 2-man teams, right? One's going to put fire on the bad guys while the other one starts moving away. Then they're going to put fire. Then these guys are going to move away. And you're going to just repeat until you're out of sight. And then you're going to bail. And you're not going to head directly back to home base. You never go straight in the direction of home base. Doesn't matter if you're going to take some turns later on. If you have to break contact, let's say this gun rack is home base. And this is me, and I got to break contact. We're going to go this direction. You know, we're going to go that direction. And then we're going to adjust later and make our way back to home base. And make sure those people can't follow you there. Some other things we're going to do while patrolling, some other considerations to make, is leaving your outer perimeter. A lot of times it's best to have 1 or 2 locations on your outer perimeter that everybody in your group knows that is the only way you go in and out. That is the only way. Right? And why? Well, that's because if you have a security patrol inside your perimeter and they see sign that somebody else has come up to or come inside of that perimeter outside of one of the designated areas that you go in and out, now you know you probably have a problem. Well, you do have a problem. Either A, you have a member of your group that's not listening, or B, you have somebody else that knows where you are and they've scoped you out. They might have even come inside of your camp. Okay? So, 1 or 2 entry points, stick to it. You can change them whatever you want, but make sure it gets disseminated throughout the entire group. Some other general considerations to make regarding these patrols. Moving at night is always going to be best. It's just the best way to do it because, you know, the other people out there walking around in SHTF, most of them don't know that. The massive majority of them do not know that. Even a lot of veterans don't know that. You pretty much have to have been in combat arms, and by that, you pretty much have to have been in some sort of infantry to be taught to move at night constantly. And that's how you do it. Okay? So moving at night, you're less likely to be seen by people, and you might even end up getting the drop on some enemy camp. Not that you want to just go smoking people, but you might have a chance to observe them, to gather some information, and that kind of thing without getting busted. If you're on a patrol that's going to last a longer period of time, you want to sleep during the daytime. You're going to find the shittiest place you possibly can, a place that nobody's going to want to go into or walk into during the day, and you're going to go there, and that's where you're going to spend the day sleeping. While you're sleeping, you're going to have a security element in place, meaning that somebody needs to be awake all the time, paying attention. And here's where you're really going to start to find out, dudes, how well you can trust people. I'm going to throw out some tips and tricks on how to stay awake if you're falling asleep, okay? Because I've been super exhausted, starved, and awake for 24 hours a day for freaking days on end patrolling. So I know what can happen. One of the things you can do is if you're laying in the prone and you start falling asleep, you can take a knee. Get up on a knee. If you're falling asleep on a knee, you can stand up. Not all kinds of terrain are really going to allow for that, so there's some other tricks you can do. You can put coffee grounds in your eyes. Yes, hold an eyelid up, lick your finger, dip it in some coffee grounds, rub that shit in your eyeballs. It will burn like hell, and boy, you're going to be wide awake for like the next hour. Tabasco sauce in the eyeball, that will also wake you up, so any kind of hot sauce in the eyeball will do it. Chewing or dipping will also do it. I am not going to say that I condone smoking while patrolling. As a matter of fact, completely the reverse. Don't smoke a cigarette while you're patrolling. Pimps, somebody with night vision will literally see the cherry on your cigarette from like half a freaking mile away. I'm not shitting you. So no smoking. Chew or dip. It kind of gives you a bit of a rush. It'll help keep you awake. Make sure that whatever additional gear you bring with you, like let's say cold weather gear, is designed to get you through the night. If you have the right gear on you to make it through a night, then you're going to be fine in the daytime. Okay? That's just how you do it. And you know what? If you get cold in the daytime while you're trying to sleep out there, do some push-ups. Do some body weight squats. You know, just the movement of your own body is going to heat you up. I've had to do that so many damn times I couldn't tell you guys. Okay? That's just how it is, man. Pimps, you want to avoid danger areas during your patrol. And danger areas are any area that you're likely to run into other people or likely to be seen. Okay? So big open fields, you want to avoid those if at all possible, if you have to cross them, because you can't avoid them. You guys have seen the area out here. Then you cross them at nighttime. Okay? Roads, trails, buildings. You want to avoid all these things unless you have to go to them because it's a specific part of your mission. Here's some other things to keep in mind too, pimps. Look, horizontal movement attracts the eye. Okay? Movement going forward and away does not. So, if you're conducting a reconnaissance mission, for example, you don't want to be moving within visual range of your recon target like this. You want to be moving like this. If you need to circle around to a different vantage point, what you're going to do, you're going to get up, you're going to watch your objective, you're going to get some recon, you are going to move directly away from it until you're out of visual sight, and then you're going to circle around, and you're going to come up from a different angle approaching that objective again, directly towards it. And the same thing, but you have to go away, directly away from it. You don't want to skyline yourself while patrolling. What that means is that you're at the top of some hill, and people down below the hill can now see your silhouette up against the sky. That's a really great way to get spotted and to give away your unit, give away your location. You do not want to do that. There will be no fire on your patrols. No fire. Unless it is absolutely necessary to keep you alive. And if you have to have a fire to keep you alive, keep it small, keep it hidden. There's a variety of different types of fire pits you can use that will help conceal a fire. I'll be doing videos on those in the future. Noise and light discipline, guys. You don't want to be using flashlights. If you have to use a flashlight, you want it to have a red lens And what you want to do is you want to be able to cover yourself up. Let's say you have to check a map at night. You might be lost, whatever. And I'm going to end up doing land nav videos as well, pimps. And this will be, talked about again at that point in time. But if you have to check a map for some reason, you want a poncho, a tarp, something like that, something thick enough that you can put over yourself that's going to obscure light from the outside. Because, guys, I'm telling you, man, people with night vision, they will see light. They'll see it so easily, especially a white light. A red light's a little better, but don't think you can walk around just shining that damn thing around. It does not work that way. You will be seen. Noise discipline, obviously. Try not to make a lot of noise. And I should probably go over gear. Pimps, before you leave your perimeter, you need to have all your gear on. You need to jump up and down. You need to make sure nothing's clinking on something else or flapping around and your knife's not banging around in its sheath and that kind of thing, okay? You want to be as stealthy as you possibly can. You don't want any bright things on you that are going to reflect light, like brass buttons and such. You can cover these things with black electrical tape if you want. There's a product called MNU that we used to use back in the service, which is like a subdued black paint. You brush it on, it lasts for a decent amount of time. You just have to check that stuff later. So nothing bright and shiny on your person. I'm not going to tell you that everybody in your group needs to be equipped with fatigues. It's not going to hurt you. Okay, as a matter of fact, my wife has fatigues. My daughter has fatigues. I have a shit ton of fatigues. My son's a little small for him, and I probably should find a way to get him some of that stuff. But earth tones will work as well, guys. I wear a lot of earth tone, stuff, and a lot of civilian type camo colors. You just really want to blend in. You don't want to draw the eye to you. That's the idea. That's the name of the game. Camouflage on your face and your hands, like paint. It's not a bad idea. If you don't have that kind of stuff, you know what? Make something up if you feel you need it. Crush up some charcoal from a wood fire for the dark and make some freaking muddy, nasty freaking water by the side of the house and you're ready to go, man. How you basically want to apply it, the quick and dirty, is that the dark colors go on the high points of your face. So like my brow, my nose, my cheeks, right? Like my chin line, my ears. Those would all be painted dark. The rest of the stuff, any sunken in areas, is going to be painted a lighter color. Because what you're trying to do is you don't want to add accents to areas that are already dark. Like my eyes will already be shaded. If I paint my eyes black, now they're super dark. And that's more likely to stick out to the eye. So you want to like mellow everything out. That's the goal. Boots. I don't think I've talked about boots yet. Look, pimps, if you're going on a quick mission that's meant to only last 8 to 10 hours and you don't have a lot of gear, like you're going out light, you're going to come back light, a lightweight athletic boot that's maybe like an 8-inch boot, perfect for that. Perfect, okay? If you're going out light but intending to come back heavy, and you'll see why, we're going to talk about that in some of these missions, well, then you want a heavier duty boot with more ankle support, and typically that's going to be just a taller boot. That's why you see the combat boots, they're a tall boot. And the whole idea is that, let's say you step on something that's like off center, a round piece of wood, right? That's like yay thick. You step on it off center like this, and you have a light load. You're not likely to twist an ankle or break anything, but now add 60 pounds of gear and you're freaking fireman carrying your wife. And you step at that same exact angle, you're highly likely to roll an ankle, break something, pull something, twist it, whatever. And so that's why you have these different kinds of boots. So just think about it like that, okay? A lightweight mission, lightweight boot. A heavy duty mission, big, heavy supportive boot. Comms. Every kind of patrol is going to want to be able to stay in communication with home base. There's going to be short-range patrols and long-range patrols. Short-range patrols can rock those cheapy little Motorola's, man. If that's what you got, it's what you got. All right? And do you really want to be broadcasting on a ham radio if you're freaking 500 yards from home base? You don't want to, because if your shit's not encrypted, man, dudes freaking miles away are going to hear it. They're going to know someone is in the area. And they're going to be listening in on your conversation and trying to glean any information they can possibly glean. So if short range patrols is what you're rocking, you don't want like super long range communication to be going on. Okay. Long range comms on the flip side, you're definitely going to want some kind of ham radio that can get the job done. Test your gear, guys. Make sure it can get it done. Now, does everybody on the patrol need to have comms? Preferably, yes. It's not absolutely necessary. It's not. That's going to be left up to you guys. You're going to have to make that decision based on your team. Does everyone need to have comms on a patrol or not? I'm never going to tell you that additional communication is going to hurt you. The ability to communicate is just going to make you more effective. Just practice it. Make sure everyone knows how to use their shit. And make sure you guys train together. Land nav, let's talk about that real quick. Dudes, you really need to be super familiar with the area in which you're going to be operating. I suggest you go learn it like the back of your hand. I spent over 1,000 miles driving dirt roads just last summer to make sure I'm familiar with the areas around the ranch here. I'm super familiar with it. I can navigate from terrain features. I have a Lensatic compass, but I don't have maps. I have looked into getting some. I think it'd be a good backup plan. Not to mention that everybody in the group is not me, so you got to think about that. But if you are in one of those situations where you need to have the ability to land nav for these long range patrols, make sure you have the stuff to get the job done. I am going to do a future video on land nav. One of my patrons requested it, and it's on my list. So I'm going to do a detailed land nav breakdown. And guys, I will tell you what, there's plenty of things to be humble about, but land nav is not one of them for me. I am an utter land nav pimp. Okay, like magic wizard shit. And I'm going to break down some freaking secrets in my land nav course that are going to blow minds of some people even that are highly experienced that have been doing it for a long time. All right, so you're going to want to check in on that. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. Let's get into some of these actual patrols you might want to conduct as a small prepper or survivalist group. Guys, you really don't want to be conducting raids and ambushes, right? If you've done your job and you've avoided conflict with other groups, then you're not going to have to do that shit. So we're not going to get into those. That's not what you want to be doing. But we are looking at short and long range hunting patrols. That's a very real possibility for you. We're looking at short and long range reconnaissance patrols, scavenging patrols, and security patrols. So let's get after all those, okay? First, short and long range hunting patrols, they're much going to be the same. You want to go out light and you want to come back heavy. If you're conducting a hunting patrol, you obviously want to send out your best hunters. You want to send people that know the terrain, that know where the animals are, that kind of stuff. It kind of doesn't need to be said. But your plan is to go out light and to come back heavy. So, a heavier duty boot. You're not taking freaking plate carriers with you. You're not taking 20 freaking AR mags. Make sure somebody has a good dedicated hunting rifle or a good accurate DMR, and that you guys have the means of bringing that meat, that game, back to camp. These people need to have the knowledge how to field dress animals, quarter them if necessary, which it probably will be, and to get them back to camp. Some extra considerations to make. If you're sending out a 4-man team, why not send out 2 young men with strong backs? That's going to help you get the job done, right? Maybe you got an older dude who's been hunting for freaking decades and is a badass and has killed freaking like everything that lives out there, You want to send him and maybe another guy that's good at hunting, and then send some young guys with strong backs to help carry all that shit back. Recon patrols, both short and long range. The biggest reasons to send these out is, one, you can see something from home base that looks fishy. It raises some eyebrows and the hair on the back of your neck, and the leadership gets together and they're like, we need to get eyes on that. Let's say you got some smoke, it's upwind of home base, right? And you guys are worried that maybe a fire has started, and do we need to go do something about it right now? Let's get our eyes on it. Let's go from there. That's where you want to send out your recon patrol. Like always, pimps, 4 people. 4 people is ideal. You don't want to go with 20 people. If you got 20 people, that's practically like an ambush force at that point in time, 4 people is going to attract a lot less attention. So that's a great number, 2 minimum. They're going to go out They want to travel light. They want to get there as fast as they possibly can. You want to make sure that they bring some kind of optics that's going to enable them to get their eyes on whatever is going on from as far away as is reasonably possible. Anything goes down, they're going to break contact and get back to base, right? Long-range patrols, a little bit of a different story. Let's say you're in a situation where you're 6 months into SHTF, you've had no encounters with anybody, you don't know what's going on whatsoever. You guys are going to come up with a plan. Well, you've decided to come up with a plan to go ahead and send some people out on a, let's say, 2 nights and 1 day trip to, go try and gather some information. Go look around, see if they can find any other people, if they appear to be friendly or not, these kinds of things. They're not going to contact these people. They're just going to go out, gather information, return to base. In this kind of instance, these people are going to leave at sundown. They're going to travel all night. They're going to gather any information they possibly can. Before sunup, they're going to make sure they're in a nice shitty spot to spend the night, which is actually the day, right? And then they're going to go ahead and continue to conduct their reconnaissance the remaining night, and they're going to return to base. And if you have to send long-range recon patrols, as a matter of fact, guys, probably the first one you want to send out, you want it to be a one-night mission. They leave at nightfall. They arrive in the morning time. You go from there. If you can't gather any information in that patrol, then you go ahead and you double down on it. You make it twice as long, increase the distance, whatever you have to do. Obviously, these recon patrols are going to travel really light. You pretty much want to operate like a LRS unit, long-range recon surveillance. 4 dudes. You had at least one guy with a dedicated marksman rifle or a accurate bolt-action rifle with a decent optic on it. Oftentimes, the other 3 pimps would be rocking like an M4, with a standard infantry load of magazines. That's 6 + 1 in the gun. So they're not carrying a ton of weight. Just enough food to get the mission done, just enough sleep system and everything else to get the mission done based on the current time of year and all that kind of business. Security patrols. Security patrol is basically like, all right, we need to go patrol a certain area to make sure there's no bad guys in it. I want you guys to really think about this, okay? Because the more times you send people out past the wire, your perimeter, the more likely other people are to stumble upon a sign that there's people out there. You really have to think about it. Is it necessary to conduct a security patrol outside of your home base and your perimeter? Really think about it. You might be better off setting in an LPOP, which is a listening post observation post within comms range, in a spot that can see a lot. Do you have the manpower for that instead? Does security patrol make sense? Do you have night vision? Do you want to send your security patrol out at night? Or do you want to have them walking around in the day when they're most likely to be seen? You know what I'm saying? Really think about it, guys. You really need to have a reason to send out security patrols. And they can't go the same place, the same way every time. You have to vary it every single time they go out. Every single time, pimps, because if you're sending them out there, you're probably doing it because you think there's bad people nearby. And you want to make sure there is no bad people nearby. Those bad people may very well have plans to smoke your security team. You know what I'm saying? Really think about it, pimps. And security patrols is a little different. Generally speaking, they're not going to be very far. They're not. They're not going out far. That's going to be a different kind of mission. They're just getting outside the wire. They're patrolling, within a half mile of your base. Kind of depends on your terrain, right? So these guys are going to want to have basically a standard combat load. 6 mags plus 1 on the gun again. And a plate carrier. It's going to work fine for a security patrol. You're just out there walking around, seeing if there's any bad guys, looking for tracks. Guys, keep your eyes on the ground if you're on a security patrol. On the ground and on the horizon, right? A lot of modern humans are not trained to look at tracks. There is so much damn information you can glean from getting tracks, dudes, from finding tracks and paying attention to them. I should do a video on that. How to count how many bad guys are in a group based on their tracks. I think I'll add it to my list. The last one we're going to go over is a scavenging patrol. Basically, you're sending people out to go scavenge. It's much like a hunting patrol. You're going out light, you're coming back heavy. Right? So minimal loadout leaving, 4 mags plus 1 in the gun. You know, you're going to break contact if anything happens. So you can travel nice and light. This is going to enable you to take as much shit when you get there and bring it back with you. Bring an extra empty bag if you have to. You know those sea bags? We used to call them sea bags in the Army, but it's like a big green duffel bag. Man, I used to wear one on the back of me and one on the front of me. Actually put the front one on first, and then when you put the back one on, you put the straps over the one in front, and you kind of hold them together like this and carry a whole bunch of shit at one time, man. And I have some spare duffel bags down in the barn that I intend to use if this kind of thing happens. The last thing you want to have happen on a freaking scavenging patrol is you got a guy that leaves with a knapsack on his freaking back and freaking 20 mags on his chest. And he gets out there freaking 8 miles and finds some stores, like canned goods, let's say. And he can only carry 20 pounds in his freaking knapsack. So he loads his damn empty knapsack up and humps everything he can back to camp, which isn't that much. You guys get some more people. You go back there and the shit's gone by the time you find it. If that same clown would have gone out with a big ass bag in his knapsack and not so many freaking magazines, he could have carried a lot of weight back to camp. And that's the whole idea, pimps. If you're going out to like a supply run, you know what I'm saying? You're going out light and you're coming back with as much shit as you can find. I think I'm going to wrap it right there, pimps. I'm starting to lose the light. I hope that breaks it down for you guys. I know I have a number of like infantrymen that follow the channel and other dudes that have done other high-speed shit. Guys, chime in down below in the comments. What did I miss? What did I not cover? Let's hear it. Okay, what are your thoughts on it, on the whole subject of patrolling? The 20% that's going to produce 80% of the results. That's what we're looking for. Okay, so like it, share it. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Check out my Patreon link in the description. I'll see you guys in the next video.